Welcome, everyone, to the Boiling Point podcast. This is a very special episode 100. We have finally made it to episode 100. Celebration from everybody from episode 100.
Yay.
2.5 years, and
Yep.
we have finally made it to episode 100. Of course, it's not actually episode 100, with all the special reports and our sister show. We're actually at like 140, I believe, or something like that. But at 100 numbered episodes for the Boiling Point podcast, a very special milestone. And of course, the only people that I would want to have on that episode, no, that's not true. I'd have whoever on it. But joining me for this special 100 episode is my executive producer, Mizpah, and our senior faith correspondent, who is also pretty much a producer himself for the Boiling Point podcast, Pastor Gavin Whitcomb. Gentlemen, welcome to episode 100.
Thank you.
Thank you. We made it.
Yeah, triple digits. Can't believe it myself sometimes. So in just a few minutes, we're going to discuss the results of our poll for the favorite episode, what everybody voted on. Mizpah, your pick was an Uncle Mark episode, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one that was off the top of my head at the moment.
Well, there's so many good Uncle Mark episodes.
Yes, there is a lot of good Uncle Mark episodes. Pastor Gavin, do you remember which one you picked? I'm bringing up the poll right now. What's underneath the Great Pyramid Complex, I believe, is what you selected, Mizpah.
Yeah.
And Pastor Gavin, I believe you chose episode 41, Dinosaurs in the Bible, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I chose episode 55, the differences between Judaism, Roman Catholicism, and biblical Christianity. And then the other 5 episodes were the top 5 episodes in terms of overall views, YouTube and Rumble. And one of us did select the most popular episode, so we'll get to that in just a second. Pastor Gavin, if you had to select, do you have a favorite episode that you weren't on?
Well, I thought Uncle Mark's episode about North American Indians and like burial mounds.
Oh yeah, the giants.
And different artifacts they found in the giants.
That was a real great one. That was also in the poll. That was a real great one too. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was an excellent episode too.
Yeah. I think most of the episodes with you, Pastor Gavin, and most of the episodes with Uncle Mark were excellent episodes. Not that Mizpah and I don't have excellent episodes either, but with you and Uncle Mark, you guys are such interesting people. It's always, sometimes I have to struggle to like respond. I'm just sitting here listening and you can just talk.
Thank you. Hey, John, I wanted to ask, so what all platforms are we on? Like, I know you post them on Rumble and on YouTube whenever we're not,
whenever we
we're
can.
Not censored, when they don't strike us out. But
yeah, whenever we can. Personal best this past year in 2022, 6 total YouTube strikes. At 2 different times, we were at 2 strikes. So that's a personal best for me. We'll see if we
what that says to me. That says that we were giving out some important information, but of course there's some people that didn't like that.
At any episode that has the word COVID in it got us an immediate strike. Any episode that we had the word COVID in got us a strike.
And there was no hatred, no profanity, no endangerment or threatening or violence or anything like that. It's just certain people who are in power did not like what we were saying.
Yeah, and we were even telling people, we weren't advising people not to get the vaccine. We were just giving people information about the vaccine, and we also said that we weren't getting the vaccine and we didn't get it, but
it's up to them though.
Yeah, we
believe in medical freedom. Yeah, if you want to get it. But if someone doesn't want to, like us, well, then don't make me do it.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
we said that in every episode that we talked about COVID. We always made sure, hey, if you want the shot, go get it. But that was still not good enough for YouTube. So just Rumble is the main place. That's where you can check out all of our episodes in their entirety, in their full is on our Rumble station. That's rumble.com/C/The Boiling Point Podcast, all in lowercase letters. You can find all of our episodes in their full. um, and um, and we're on YouTube. I'm uploading episodes to Facebook right now as well, to our Facebook as well, facebook.com/The Boiling Point Podcast. So if you want to, there's not many up on Facebook yet, but I'm starting to put them up on Facebook. And by the end of the year, I'd like to see if I can't get us on Spotify and get us our own Spotify channel. So hopefully by the end of this year is when I'd like to have us a Spotify channel as well.
Yeah. I post my videos on Truth Social. That's Donald Trump's platform.
Yeah.
It's very that platform works well, and it's very easy to post.
Maybe I'll have to put.
So
I might have to put the Boiling Point podcast maybe on Truth Social. Since you just brought that up, though, let's talk. Let's just. Donald Trump is now allowed back on Twitter since Elon Musk has taken over. There's been a lot of stuff happening with Twitter. I'm looking into doing that. I'm looking into doing an episode on that in the next month or so. So look for that. But he is back on Twitter now. You think he'll keep his Truth Social going, right? Like that's where he'll still post
sure.
mostly. You think?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's his main gig, and he knows that there's no way he could be silenced or censored.
Yeah.
On its own platform. So.
And
yeah.
there's so many different platforms right now.
Right.
And I mean, it used to just be we kind of had a couple of avenues for social media. Now it seems like everybody and their brother's coming out with a social media network. I think it's only a matter of time before we start seeing other networks start rising in the ranks, and
the problem with that
falling.
The problem I see with that, Mizpah, is that the way big tech has everything under their thumb already. Look at Parler, for example. When Parler first launched as an alternative to like Twitter and Facebook, it got real popular real quick. And then Google Store removed them off their Play Store and killed their momentum. That killed Parler. Parler's still active, but it's basically that's where the conservatives are. That's the conservative state on Parler. But that's about all that Parler is now. It's not nearly as active as it used to be. And that's
post on there too.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a Parler.
Yeah.
You can find us on Parler too, the Boiling Point Podcast. We are on Parler. I don't update very much on Parler anymore because it wasn't. You know what I mean? We're not. We have way more traction on the established social media networks than we do on Parler, but we were getting traction on Parler too, but we lost our momentum when Google Store took them off their store, and that was pretty much that was a huge portion of the people that were on Parler couldn't then access it.
Yeah, and I kind of lost interest in it because it was down for a while.
Yeah, there was that time that it was down for a little bit too when they dropped them, and I think that killed their momentum. I think that was the end of Parler. Now it'll just be a secondary echo chamber.
You know what I'd love to see about social media and all these different platforms is that the average person like us, we can have a platform to speak and freedom of speech and the freedom to share ideas. And who would have ever thought that in your own home you could originate a TV show and broadcast it for free? I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, the Simpsons did. Go ahead, Ms. Pa.
I think that in itself is what has drawn such. I mean, look, everybody and their brother has a YouTube channel or a podcast or a stream of some sort now.
Yeah. But look how fast they come and then they go. There's a lot of people that don't realize the amount of work that it actually does take to do a podcast. I mean, yeah, you can just turn a camera on. Pastor Gavin has a very my apologies, Pastor Gavin, if you take offense to this, but he's very low tech, low budget. It's not a huge production. So anybody, you can sit there with a camera and a microphone, but there's still the maintenance of it. There's still the posting. There's still the editing. There's still the developing of the content. Pastor Gavin does his research and probably has his whole plan just like we do before we do episodes, before he shoots his own. People don't realize the amount of actual work that it takes, even for a point the camera and shoot kind of a production. People don't realize the amount of work that it actually takes to do that. That's why you see them, you know, all your friends have one, and then next week half of them stop doing it. The week after that, the other half are going to stop.
Well, and
You know, there are times when it gets late. I'm thinking, oh man, I'm ready. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed. But, you know, I got to do it. You know, I don't want to be unfaithful. I want to be consistent and steady and not quit, you know,
And
and
that's
just
one thing.
keep on keeping on. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
okay.
Mizpah. Go ahead.
What I was going to say was, posting a podcast or having streams or anything like that, it's like anything else. You're going to have people who do it occasionally for fun. You're going to have people who just do it as a hobby, and you're going to have people who try to make like a successful career out of it. And you know, you can personality is involved a lot with that as well.
Yeah.
You can have one of the lowest budget, you know, you could be using your cell phone to stream and shoot video. And if you have an excellent personality, people are going to gravitate towards that. And you could spend, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars to have the biggest, most professional setup that anybody can have, the best money can buy, and have the personality of a slug and get like 3 viewers, and one of them's like your mom or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I love about this is that since the average person can have a podcast, it seems to take more power away from the well, some people call it the legacy media or the
Yeah.
mainstream media, because before this, you know, our information was limited to the mainstream media, and like I could get before like cell phones and that sort of thing, I could get good information like from the radio,
Yeah.
like conservative talk radio that would present a different point of view. But now, like there's sort of like an army of citizen journalists and reporters. And while the people that are supposed to be journalists are more propagandists,
Yeah.
you have like citizens who are, you know, reporting the news and so forth. And so I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is too. And you know, there are risks associated with anything like this. You know, there's good people out there doing good work, and then there are people out
Yeah.
there, you know, making terrible content and content that shouldn't be viewed by anyone. So it is.
You know
It's
what I'm thinking of, John, is like Joe Rogan. Like I don't really watch his show,
yeah.
but he has more views than like, you know, the mainstream media,
Oh
big
yeah,
time television shows.
Steven
And there are
Crowder
guys
too.
like that on the internet that they get more views than like a late night TV show or, you know, like prime time television shows. So
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. Steven Crowder, Joe Rogan, they're pretty much
yeah,
the two highest rated podcasts that are out there. And that's what everybody wants. They see them. Oh, look what they made. Yeah, but you know they're interesting and they're good at their job.
yeah, they are. Yeah,
Something that I try and emulate. That's what I try and do with the Boiling Point podcast. Is a little bit of what Joe Rogan was doing and a little bit of what Steven Crowder does. That was my kind of vision for this. You know, also Glenn Beck too. Glenn Beck gets an
yeah,
awful lot of views also.
yeah.
You kind of touched on it there a little bit. Something that I wanted to bring up, and you know, this technology that we have and the ability to do this is fantastic. You know, Pastor Gavin, the fact that you're able to spread the word, you know, through digital media is amazing. I mean, I'm sure that getting the word out there has gotten easier with having these kind of platforms. And John, you and I, we get our opinions out there about various topics under the sun, and it reaches more people than it would have, just having conversations before, YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have philanthropists like Mr. Beast 2000, who he started as just streaming video games, and now he gets millions and millions and millions of views and makes stupid money by giving money away and doing different contests and different giveaways and things like that, and videoing it and sharing that, which in my opinion is awesome.
Oh yeah, I'd love to do that too. I'd love to reach the point where the Boiling Point podcast makes a little bit of money, and then we can take some of that money and do cool things like you do see online, where people are giving away hundreds of dollars to people in need, hundreds of dollars to homeless men. I'd love to be able to get to that point once we reach that point where we're actually making some money for the podcast, and we're able to take care of ourselves, because that is part of why I do this too. It's not only for the sole purpose of combating the left or combating false information or spreading the word. It is for me too. I want this to be I'd like this to be able to start making money, so that this could be my future. Doing this podcast could be what I rely on to make it through the rest of my life. But I would love to be able to reach a point where we're making some money and we can do good things with some of that money. I would love to be able to reach that point.
Absolutely. I'd like to see that too. And the other side of that coin is, because it's so easy for anybody and their brother to have a YouTube channel or any kind of streaming platform. You also have people out there that are spreading information that in some cases is flat out lies, but enough people are sharing that information that people start to believe it. And that is the opposite side of that coin.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Not just that though, but also, on YouTube, there's a lot of content out there that are dangerous for kids to watch, and YouTube has a whole kids thing. And I have a 7-year-old nephew, and he watches some things on YouTube and stuff, and we're trying to get him off of that right now and into get his interests somewhere else, because I don't really like the content that he's watching. There is some bad content out there that can teach kids just bad behavior, bad morals. Like there is a whole bunch of bad content. It's a tool. YouTube, Facebook, social media, it's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used to create good things that help, or it can be used to create terrible things. So it is a double-sided coin there, but we're on the right side.
Yeah, Nick, as parents, like that's our job, to try to protect our children from those evil influences, And I remember when my son was a young guy in high school, like the internet was just coming on.
Yeah, it was.
And,
when we were.
And I would not allow him to be on the computer on the internet without me right there. And it's just because there was so much evil that he could potentially come in contact with it, and it irritated him. As a teen, he didn't like that, but now he understands.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was younger, my Uncle Brad taught me about computers, and he took me into chat rooms. Like when AOL was brand new, when it was chat rooms before social media, it was AOL dial-up, and AOL dial-up had. Yeah, You've Got Mail, and they had chat rooms and stuff. That was the start of social media. Was pretty much AOL.
And Yahoo.
And he took me into chat rooms and stuff, and he always stayed right there because. And I always asked why. Why do you need to stand right here? What dangerous things can happen? And it's good that I got those lessons though, because then once I got older and I didn't have other adults around, I was able to recognize so I didn't get taken advantage of or get exploited or anything like that. Because it is dangerous online. I mean, online is a new kind of world within our world, and we have to teach our children the rights and the wrongs of it, and how to use it appropriately and how to not use it appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, it's a moving target. It's constantly evolving. So about the time we think we have learned as much as we can, it changes and we have something new to learn.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it is difficult, but that's why parents, need to
Check your
pay
kids' devices.
attention.
Check your kids' devices. It's not invasion of privacy. You're their parents.
Right.
That just falls under paying closer attention.
Yeah, it's actually love in action.
Yeah.
Because see, love, biblical love, does what's best for others. And there's a hard side to love, and there's a soft side to love.
Mhm.
So, the soft side to love is, you love your kid and you hug them and kiss them before you put them into bed at night, that sort of thing. But the hard side of love is if they need correction, we're there and say, hey, you can't do that. That's wrong behavior, I want you to be a good boy or a good girl or whatever. And so
Yeah.
they need both, And so yeah, that's a loving thing, to keep an eye on your kids and supervise what they're doing and try to
Yes.
keep them from things that'll harm them
Yes.
or
And
be
if
a
I can
bad
throw
influence.
Yeah, and if I can throw these 2 cents in there, make sure that your boy or girl knows about boys and girls and how they're different and how there are only boys and girls.
Yeah.
That would be a good lesson to teach your offspring as well.
And there's also a difference between sheltering and protecting and educating
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just protect them from everything. Sometimes you have to show them the dangers, show them the evils, and then explain to them why it is the way it is.
Yeah.
And I'll use that as an excellent segue to move into the work that I did with Pennsylvania predator hunters, the darkest parts of what social media and the internet is about. My work with the Pennsylvania predator hunters was about exposing those people who try and take advantage of kids and try and harm children. And that's where the most dangerous part is. Yeah, they can get bad lessons and stuff online, that's no good either, but it's quite different when you're talking about your own, like their safety. You're talking about their safety at this point. And my work with Pennsylvania predator hunters was about exposing those people who are trying to, get those children. And that's the most dangerous part. That's the most dangerous part. There is meeting people from online and them not knowing where they're going or who they're meeting, because that's all it takes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
But that's why we do things. That's why we do the work that we do to bring the positive stuff. We use it as a tool, and that's what it is. It's a tool, and anybody can use it for good or for bad. It's about the person, and that comes down to, again, to likely how they were raised. That were they raised with the right values and the right, and with family and being taught right from wrong.
Mhm. Yeah. This sort of circles back to what Nick was getting at. I think that you want to protect your children from evil, but you also want them to be streetwise and to know how to deal with evil if they encounter it.
Yeah.
And yeah, Nick, I wanted to share this with you. This a few weeks ago, several weeks ago, John, he said, and I thought this was really good. And I said, hey, that'd be good if you would work this into a slogan
Oh
for our
yeah.
podcast. But he said, we're here to entertain and educate and inform. And that about says it. That's really what, the Boiling Point podcast, as I see it. That's kind of what we're about: entertain, educate, and inform. So John just happened to say it that way. It just rolled off his lips, but I thought it was, a good summary of really what we're about.
Yeah, and I am working that. Go ahead, Ms. Bach. Say it again.
I said I'd say that's spot on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm working that into like a slogan or something too. Like I'm working that. Pastor Gavin, when he said that to me, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna put that into this somehow. So we're working on that as well. Um, Actually, I was going to debut it during this episode here towards the end. So yeah, that's the Boiling Point podcast. Educate, entertain, and inform. That's what we do here. And then, of course, our sister show, Mayhem Media. That's, that covers all the entertainment topics, TV, movies, sports, books. And we got lots of great things. Let's talk about some of the things we got planned for the future for both podcasts, for the Boiling Point podcast and for Mayhem Media as well. We're going to be starting to do some live episodes. We'd like to do at least one live episode a month. And of course, we'll definitely get Pastor Gavin in on some of those live episodes. Hopefully, by the second half of the year, during the live episodes, we'll be doing maybe some minor giveaways of some kind, whether they're gift cards or something. We're not sure yet. We're working on that. That won't be till the second half of the year. Pastor Gavin has got some. I'm planning. He doesn't know about all of them yet, but I'm planning some excellent episodes for Pastor Gavin. He does know about one. We're going to try and shoot it sometime in March. It'll be Pastor Gavin and Matt from the Patriot Edda, who's been on episodes of the Boiling Point podcast. He's a pagan. He used to be a Christian. He's a pagan now. Pastor Gavin, of course, is obviously a Christian. And we're going to sit down, the three of us, and Pastor Gavin and Matt are going to have a conversation, pagan to Christian, and see if they can find any common ground and have them ask each other questions. It'll all be very civil. It won't be a debate or anything like that. It's just going to be a conversation between a Christian and a pagan. And we're going to see what they talk about. I imagine it's going to be a popular episode. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be on the episode. Hopefully I won't say very much.
I'm really looking forward to that one too, because I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be everything that people expect and nothing that people expect all at the same time.
Yeah, I think so. I think so also. I think it'll be a great conversation, and I think it'll be a great episode. I'm also going to try and get Pastor Gavin on with a new guest that I'll be having on within the next 2 or 3 weeks. He's also a Christian, but some of his views on the way he interprets the Bible seems to be a little bit different than the way Pastor Gavin teaches us when he's on the Boiling Point podcast. So I want to have them two on and have them have a conversation as well. Pastor Gavin doesn't know about that one. He just learned about it just as you did right now. So
that's the beautiful thing. That's what I love about our podcast is when we can get people with not necessarily opposing views. I don't want to say opposing views, but different views.
Yeah, because Chris doesn't
having a conversation.
Yeah, because Chris doesn't believe differently than Pastor Gavin. They're very along the same track. It's just some differences that I think we should talk about. I think we could have some great conversations talking about the differences, just the small differences. Two Christians who believe the same thing, but there's just tiny little differences, and that comes from the way you interpret the Bible and stuff. And I take Pastor Gavin's word as scripture because he studied the Bible for so long. So when he says this is what it says, I believe him because of his history. He's studied the Bible for a long time. He's been preaching for a long time, so he knows the word very well. Chris is not a close friend of mine. He is a friend of Mizpah's, so you know him better than I do. So, but that's why I want to get him on and have a conversation about how just a couple of the subtle differences and some of the things that they believe and what Scripture says. I think that'll be an interesting conversation to have.
He's been on twice before, hasn't he?
No, Chris hasn't been on at all yet. This is a.
I was thinking of another. There was another guy that's a pastor.
Yeah, Matt James. Yeah,
that's right. I really enjoyed his talk.
Yeah, he was on a couple episodes. I'm not sure if he's going to still be on anymore in the new year. He had some personal things to that were taking his time, and he's not been able to be on. I'm not sure if he's going to come back and be on again or not at this point yet. Hopefully he does, but I don't know yet. But yes, this is going to be a new guest who I should have on for the first time in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then I was going to plan to have you two on together sometime after that. Of course, Pastor Gavin will continue to be on the Boiling Point podcast for as long as he is willing to continue to come on the Boiling Point podcast. He's not going anywhere. And Mizpah, who doesn't appear necessarily on very many Boiling Point podcast episodes, but is a big player behind the scenes. He helps me develop episodes and he helps me come up with new ideas. He's a sounding board for me, and he helps me come up with a lot of the different ideas that we come up with on the show, especially here in the new year. Because our sister show, Mizpah, Mayhem Media, Mayhem Tainment, we got some stuff going for that. We just did the After the Dragon series.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, so did I. There's some people that reached out that enjoyed that series as well. So we are going to be following season 2 of House of the Dragon, and we're going to be doing a live After the Dragon with season 2. It won't just be recorded episodes like we did for the first season. That was kind of a test run to see if we could do this, and we believe that we can. So we're going to be doing live episodes, probably about a half hour after the episode ends, once the new season comes out. But in the meantime, Robbie, who's been on Mayhem Media episodes, he'll be on some episodes, and we'll be developing a series. We're going to follow one of the Marvel series and do an after show following one of the Marvel series. And Mizpah and I are getting ready to we're going to do an after show for the entire Yellowstone universe. We're going to do 1883 after show. We're going to do the new series that just came out, the 1923 series. We're going to do an after show following that series, and then we're going to do Yellowstone. So we are planning all kinds of things here for 2023 for both shows, for the Boiling Point podcast and for Mayhem Media. Now, before we get to any other topics, let's get to the results of the poll and find out what the voters decided as their favorite episode. And coming in with 49% of the vote is episode 41, Dinosaurs and the Bible. Pastor Gavin, you were voted significantly overwhelming, 40-some%, because there were like 5 or 6 episodes that had some votes, but yeah, it was the Dinosaurs in the Bible got voted, at least their favorite episode. So
cool.
What was number 2?
Actually, everything else was equal in votes, kind of. Every other one that had votes were all equal in votes, and so there wasn't really necessarily a number 2. So it was kind of like I said, that episode ran away with it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because honestly, I wasn't expecting that. I thought for sure it was going to be one of the different episodes voted. I was personally hoping the one that I picked would be the voted would have won the votes, but nope. Dinosaurs in the Bible is the one that people voted to be their favorite episode.
That is a really great episode.
It really is.
And so I personally like episodes that cause me to stop and think about things in a little bit of a different light than what I previously thought.
Yeah.
And that episode did that for me. It gave me some pause and made me think about things.
Yeah, that's why I did that. That's why Pastor and Gavin and I did that episode. We wanted to, because that's the biggest discrepancy when people are talking about the history of the world. There were dinosaurs before people, and no, there weren't. And that's the biggest discrepancy is dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were alive in the early biblical times. They just weren't called dinosaurs. Dinosaurs was a term that was just made in the 19th century. So it's not, that wasn't what they were called back then. So
yes, Sir Richard Owen coined the term in, I think, 1844, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they were alive back then. They just weren't called dinosaurs. They were called different things. They didn't have a word for these things. You know what I mean? It would be like us calling, cows and horses. You know what I mean? They're of a similar size, but we have cows and horses. But people, if the world continues on for another 1,000 years and there are no more cows and horses and they dig up the bones.
And, references to just massive beasts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, leviathans, dragons. That's what they were called back then. They weren't. Yeah. They weren't called dinosaurs. They were called by what they were called at that time. And that's what we try and do with Pastor Gavin. When I have Pastor Gavin on, I like to try and get people to think. And actually, one of my friends actually just told me the other day. I just told Pastor Gavin this. They told me that they were that both the dinosaur one and the differences in the different Judaism, Catholicism, and Christianity, that those two episodes had him thinking. And this comes from someone who, while he's not a Christian, it doesn't reject the teachings of Christianity. In fact, he has children. I'm pretty sure he brings them up to, with that knowledge and stuff as well. But he himself doesn't believe. So for someone like him to say, "Hey, that's got me thinking," that's if one person is thinking about changing their mind or looking at things differently, then as far as I'm concerned, we've accomplished our goal with the Boiling Point podcast. Anything that happens after this is gravy. If we were able to change one person's mind or bring one person to the Lord, that's it. That was my entire goal. If we've changed one person's mind, that's it. Everything else is gravy after that.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these days, if I get brave enough, I'll share with you on the podcast how I have a little bit of an advantage over a lot of people in the fact that, I know that heaven exists.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a great episode to have. I would love to do that episode whenever you would like to do that. Mizpah is very careful about what he says and the topics that he discusses on the Boiling Point podcast for many different reasons that we're not going to get into right now. And none of them are bad reasons. They're all completely legitimate. So that's why I respect his wishes, and we don't talk too much political stuff when too much. Well, we do talk some politics, Mizpah, but we don't delve too deep into the politics when Mizpah's on. For many different reasons. Like I said, none of which I'm going to go into right this second. Pastor Gavin, your podcast on YouTube, just search Gavin Whitcomb on YouTube, and you can find him on YouTube. Also, facebook.com/mooresmountain.church. Facebook.com/mooresmountain.church. And you can find his Facebook page. Your podcast has also been growing, especially in the last 8 weeks or so.
Yeah, that's really encouraging. That helps make it, more worthwhile.
Yeah, your views really spiked over the last couple of weeks. The Boiling Point podcast has kind of been in a lull for a couple of months. We haven't been increasing our views too much. Although again, recently in the last couple of weeks, we have been getting views quicker and they've been getting a little higher. So we are growing the shows, and I'm glad to be able to help you grow your show.
Yeah, I think you
posting
at different places help. Yeah.
Yeah. I post. Yeah, you're part of as far as I'm concerned, even though it's not official, but your podcast is kind of under the whole umbrella that we're building here. You know what I mean? So promoting you is kind of promoting us as well. And some of our episodes are available on Pastor Gavin's channel as well. I believe he has 4 or 5 different Boiling Point podcast episodes up on his channel as well. So feel free to check out his channel and give him a watch under his channel as well. Pastor Gavin, you were talking earlier about your consistency, and that's what you have going for you. We don't post as steady or as regular. You know what I mean? We'll go 2 weeks or 3 weeks sometimes without an episode, and then we'll have 4 episodes over the next 2 weeks. For anybody who wants to know, we are currently, from the time we started this to right now, including both of my podcasts, we are currently averaging 5 episodes a month. 5. How awesome is that?
That's a lot more than I thought it was.
Yeah. If you go back and you take all the episodes from both our podcasts and put them together, we are averaging, it's just under 5 a month. I think it's like 4.7.
Now think of the amount of hours that is behind that.
Yeah. We have a lot of content. Pastor Gavin does too. But what I was going to say was, Pastor Gavin, you post consistently every Saturday night. You have a new episode that you post. And I think
the only time. Yeah, I was just going to say the only time that I've missed was when I had technical difficulties.
Yeah,
like something went wrong with the computer, or I couldn't. Just something wasn't working right. But you know how I got started? During the COVID thing, during the lockdowns. So, for several weeks we didn't have church, and my son Gav said, "Hey, Dad, you should post your sermons on YouTube." So I thought, hey, I'll give it a try. So I did that so that the people from church could still like hear the sermon, even though we weren't actually having church,
Yeah.
for those weeks when we
Yeah.
were shut down.
Yeah, I'm really glad you did. I think it's great. I think you're reaching more people, and I love hearing your sermons. So I'm glad to be able to have access to them, because getting out to church every Sunday morning to hear you speak is not so easy for me. So I think that's important too. It wasn't not just for COVID, the people that couldn't make it out at the time, but there's plenty of people even now who can't make it out as easily as they'd like to. So, and this way they still get to hear your message.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that I get the chance to do that. So I really love YouTube. I don't like the way they censor, but
Yeah.
just the way that it works and functions, it's very user friendly, and so I do like that.
Yeah. Mizpah, if you have
That's why
to,
I'm staying on,
yeah.
because they reach so many people. That's why
It is it is good
some
for
people
reaching.
say, "Oh, forget YouTube," but that's why I'm staying on.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about. Let me give me 1 second. I want to say something off that point. Ms. Bob, if you have to bounce or anything because of your daughter or whatever, feel free to do so. You can leave it camera on and come back, or if you have to exit the thing, that's okay too.
Yeah, I heard some noise. I was just kind of checking to see if
That's fine. I
that
just,
was
I
needed.
just, I just wanted to let you know that was actually something I wanted to go over before we started shooting, and I forgot. So let me say that to you now that we're in the middle of the episode or towards the end of it. If you do have to go because of your daughter, please do so. Pastor Gavin, yeah, YouTube. For a minute there, I was kind of trying to do the Steven Crowder thing where we were only posting portion of the episodes on YouTube, and then we were
Remember that? Yeah.
switching to Rumble. And then after a couple of weeks of that, I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm not Steven Crowder. I don't have an audience that's gonna follow me around. So I was like, all right, forget that. We gotta get it nixed that. I was like, we gotta be everywhere. So I don't, unless someone offers me a check, then we're not going to stay exclusive to anyone. We're going to be wherever, anywhere we can be, everywhere we can be, so that we can try and grow the show.
Yeah.
And I have something in my eye, so that's why you keep seeing me blink, and because I got something in my eye. But we're going along here. So anybody else want to have anything they wanted to bring up?
Hey, I was looking at our page on Rumble. So we have 139 followers on
Oh yeah,
Rumble
okay.
right now.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And on YouTube, there are 47 subscribers.
Yeah. Well, again, that was the reason
So,
that hasn't grown quite as fast. And that's actually grown even in the last couple of weeks also. But me only doing portions of the episode, that kind of stunted our growth on YouTube. Now that we're putting full episodes up, and now that we're putting more full episodes up on YouTube, we've been increasing our subscribers. I am actually going to be right back for a second so I can get whatever this is out of my eye. Mizpah, I throw it to you, who is my backup host, and you can take it for a second.
I'd just like to say that I'm really looking forward to where we're headed in the future with the podcasts, and the fact that Pastor Gavin, your podcast is growing, is really encouraging to me as well. Do you have anything that you could use to say why it's started growing all of a sudden just these past few weeks?
no, well, some of it, some of the topics that I've been addressing, I've been going through the book of Ephesians,
Okay.
and I just had one on marriage principles in Scripture. So
Okay.
usually a topic like that, is more likely to get get more views, because people say, hey, here are some things about, maybe I can use to help my marriage. So I think that's one reason. And also, I had a video that I posted. There's a woman at my church that plays the harp. Then I play the guitar and accompany her on the harp. So I posted that on my channel, and that got 92 views. It's not a long video, but it got 92 views. And I think John sharing some of my videos helps too. But hey, I wanted to share with you guys. John recently posted episode 93, Boiling Point, on my channel. And it was the one, Hierarchy of the Angels. And so on my channel, so far that's got 33 views. It's been up for 2 days.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much it got when we ran it, just the Boiling Point podcast. But on my channel, it's got 33 views already.
Well, that's very encouraging.
Yeah, it is. It's only been out 2 days.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one. Yeah, because I have it set for
like every Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, this past Wednesday and next Wednesday, because there were 2 episodes, Pastor Gavin, that you didn't have. Actually, it was both the Angel episodes that were posted, and then I'm gonna put the Thanksgiving and Christmas ones up on your channel too. So yeah, every Wednesday for the next 3 Wednesdays, Pastor Gavin will be releasing not just an episode on Saturday, but he'll be releasing an episode of the Boiling Point podcast that he shot with me on his channel also. That'll be on Wednesday nights.
That's awesome.
I'm checking the which one was it? The Hierarchy?
Yeah, episode 93, Hierarchy of the Angels.
Well, you've got more views than we got on our Rumble, at least. I don't know what the YouTube.
Really?
I checked the YouTube one, but yeah, you've got more than we got on Rumble for that one. Rumble's weird. Rumble is weird sometimes. Sometimes episodes I think are going to be popular aren't as popular, and then sometimes, but they're more popular on YouTube. It's bizarre sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to figure out.
Yeah, John, you and I've spent.
Yeah, we only got you got to speak. I'm sorry, Mizpah, I don't mean to interrupt. I don't mean to cut you off, and I'll come right back to you. But yeah, you've got not YouTube and Rumble combined, but you have more views than on your channel for that episode than we have on YouTube or on Rumble. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Because I don't, as long as they're seeing the episode, that's all that matters to me. You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to do. Mizpah, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
So what I was going to say is, I lost my train of thought.
All right. Well,
it's gone.
Yeah. Well, that happens. So yeah, we are growing right now, and the Facebook pages are growing too, which is positive. And I think live episodes, starting to do a few live episodes, I think will help bring more people in as well.
And one thing I did want to ask you is, you also have JDEDESIGNz as well.
Yeah, my art business. Yeah, my 2 podcasts and on my art business, JDEDESIGNz, Facebook.com/JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z at the end of it.
How's things been going with that?
Oh, actually, I got that page growing as well. I started reaching out to other artists. I'm trying to build like a network where artists share each other's work to try and grow their own audiences. And just by not intentionally, just the way it's happened out so far, I have 3 artists now that are working with me. We're going to share each other's work on our social media to try and increase our audiences. Two out of the 3 also have arthrogryposis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, how interesting is that?
Yeah.
Now,
so yeah, two of them have arthrogryposis. And then of course Marcus Frederiksen, rest in peace, Marcus. We miss you. Does the music. He also had arthrogryposis. He does the music for both the Boiling Point podcast and Mayhem Media.
So just because I'm curious, prior to doing this podcast and stuff,
Yeah.
had you met anybody with arthrogryposis before?
That's a really great question. That's a really great question, Mizpah. And I have met people, but not like the three people that I've met now. Like just met them like in a hospital, like when I was there, and seeing somebody else with the disease. Not like met in the sense met them, knew their names, knew about them, that type of thing. So before the Boiling Point podcast, no, not really. So, and now I've met three, at least three that I'm aware of.
So, John, could you explain to us how your art business works? Like, is it if somebody wants you to design something, you design it, a logo for
I
a
can do that
business, or
too.
what?
I can do that too. That's how JDEDESIGNz initially started. I built logos when I was in high school, logos and web pages when I was in high school. So that's kind of how it started. And then for a while, I wasn't really doing anything with it. And then I started coloring fuzzy posters. I think someone got me one for Christmas. And I just colored it once just because I was bored and didn't have anything to do. It was one of those days the power was out, so no TV, no electronics. And I think I was like, well, I'll just color. I used to like to color when I was a kid, and I colored it. And I enjoyed it. It was not only did it give me a sense of accomplishment, but it was fun to do. It was relaxing for me. And what I do is I color fuzzy posters. They're black, the black velvet or fuzzy posters is what they're called. And I just color them. I just apply the color. And then I started acquiring so many. Mizpah was actually one of the people who at one point said, you should start selling these. You're not gonna run a wall space. You better start selling them or something. So I started selling them, and then actually had people buying them. And
I have one my son bought me, and I have it at church, and I think it's about the resurrection or something, but it looks really good. I mean, great job.
Oh yeah, the one. Yep, yeah. I know which one you have. You have that hanging at church, or is it in your house?
It's at church.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And also people, if they want to know, whenever I sell posters, I always give $1 from every poster I sell, and I donate it to Pastor Gavin's church, Moores Mountain Church. I'm actually behind. Next time I see Pastor Gavin, I'm going to be giving him another donation for what I've sold over the past year, because the past year I pretty much have sold out. I need to actually spend some time coloring some posters. I got a couple 8x10s left, a Christmas tree, and my Christmas line posters. That's and my ornaments. That's it. This is the lowest that I've been since I started selling the posters. This is the lowest my completed inventory has ever been.
That's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And the problem is that the 16x20s, the larger posters, seem to be more popular than the 8x10s. I thought people would just want to buy them to contribute to me. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, here's $10 for a tiny little poster that they don't pay attention to after they get in the car with it or whatever. But most people have been more interested in the larger posters, the 16x20s, which I was not prepared for. So I don't have the inventory, and they also take a little longer. You know what I mean? An 8x10 I could get done in, 3 to 5 hours maybe, but a 16x20 usually takes me upwards of 20 hours or so, give or take a few. So, but yeah, good things are happening with JDEDESIGNz. I got all three, both podcast pages and JDEDESIGNz are growing right now, all simultaneously. This is the first time that I've had all three growing at the same time, which is very exciting.
So John, to add the coloring to these posters, do you use your hands or?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That's a great question too, Pastor Gavin. That's a great question too, because one of the artists that I reached out to who has orthographic posters actually draws with them. They put the utensil in their mouth, the marker or the pen, whatever they're using, they put it in their mouth. I do use my hands. Of that. Yeah, I do use my hands. I'm left-handed, and I can hold it between my fingers.
Did you say you're left-handed?
Yes, left-handed.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. Left-handed.
See, I said, is that right?
Is that right? Yeah. No, it's left, Pastor.
I'm left-handed too.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Well, so is Mizpah, and so is your son. Isn't
really?
It? Yeah.
All
We're a bunch
right,
of
so we're all in
lefties.
our right minds.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, the people who are left-handed, yes, they are in their right mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got all three of my pages are growing simultaneously. Pastor Gavin's podcast page is growing, so it's actually pretty exciting right now, considering that we're just coming back from our Christmas break. I've only done one episode, and it was a real short one since I come back from Christmas break. But we got all the pages growing at the same time right now, which is very exciting.
It sounds like overall, like there's a lot of positivity happening.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
exhausted.
I bet you are.
I'm exhausted. And my right ear is still partially clogged from when I was sick at the beginning of December. But other than those two things, everything else is going pretty positive right now.
So, John, I have a cure for your ear. Have you ever tried hydrogen peroxide?
Yeah, that's where I'm going next, I think,
I,
because I've been trying some eardrops and stuff. I think, yeah, peroxide is likely where I'm going next.
that's what my doctor told me, and that's what I use.
Okay, well, that's what your doctor told you, because then that'll save me a trip to my doctor's, because I thought I was going
Well,
to have
yeah,
to go out there. But I was thinking about peroxide anyway.
yeah. So the idea is like put it in your ear and lay on your side for like 5 minutes, and
Yeah,
then
and
let
let
it
it crackle.
let it drain out. Yeah,
Let it
and then
crackle.
let it just drain out. Like have a tissue there or something,
And let it
and
crackle and explode in your
yeah,
ear.
and
It's the
maybe
fun.
twice a day.
Yeah, it's only partially, like, it's not totally blocked off, like, but it's not, I'm not hearing out of my right ear like I usually do.
Yeah, I bet one treatment for 5 minutes with hydrogen peroxide will open that up, I would guess.
All right, I will give
At
that a
least
try
based on
next.
how mine act, because like when mine are partially, closed like that, yeah, that's all it takes.
It's those Pennsylvania colds we get.
Yeah.
Because all three of us are also in Pennsylvania, which is nice. But we're doing this remotely. This was another practice run for when we get StreamYard, which is the software we'll be using to do live episodes. That's what I'm looking forward to most. What are you guys looking forward to most in the new year, for whether it's your podcast, Pastor Gavin, or what we are doing on the Boiling Point podcast? Are you looking forward to anything here in the new year? I'm looking forward to live episodes. I'm very excited about putting on some live episodes once or twice a month.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the Lord's going to take us. I mean, in our podcasts, to see them keep growing and gaining a wider audience. And our reason for wanting a wider audience is not for our own ego. It's the more people can hear like the information and the things that we're sharing, because what we talk about and what we share helps to inform people,
Yeah.
and especially the spiritual things that you and I talk about. Hopefully, that'll be a help and and a blessing to more and more people.
Yeah. I would agree with you, Pastor Gavin. Oh, Mizpah, go ahead.
I was going to say, just feeding off of that a little bit. I look forward to getting more guests and having more interactions with some different people.
Yeah, that is one thing that I've been able to actually do pretty well also on the Boiling Point podcast is have new guests on, especially as some guests decide they don't want to be on, or their schedule doesn't allow them to be on anymore. I think I've done a pretty good job at getting new guests on the show. Speaking of that, the Sky Tribes, hopefully I'm going to be trying to have them on. We just haven't had our schedule be able to match up. Shout out to the Sky Tribe. Make sure you check them out on Facebook. So yeah, I look forward to that too. Continuing to increase our guest list, get more and more guests to come on, and growing the show, as Pastor Gavin said, seeing where the Lord will take us here in 2023. But personally, I'm very excited for the live episodes. I think we're gonna have some fun with the live episodes, especially if we can get some fan interaction. This would have been a great episode. In hindsight, it would have been a great episode to do live. When we were planning it, we didn't want, after we had planned it and we discussed it, Mizpah and I decided, no, we don't want to do this episode live. It's going to be too complicated. It's going to be too much for us to talk about a kind of a general podcast topic that's not about anything specific and deal with fan interaction. in hindsight, I think it would have been the perfect episode now that we're about finished with it. But I think this was a good dry run. I think if we have some fan interaction, I think it's going to be a great episode. Especially being that we've gone an hour now, and before we started, I was having my fingers crossed. I'm like 20 minutes. We have to go at least 20 minutes because I didn't think we were going to go that long. I thought we were going to talk about a couple things. We'd be done and we'd be sitting here at 15 minutes and I'd be trying to fill space to make it a full episode. And here we are at an hour and I got to hurry up so that we don't go too long. And hopefully this is the other thing. I'd like to have the three of us do some more episodes this year too. I'd like to get the three of us to do a couple of episodes this year too, even whether they're live or recorded. I think the three of us, I think we've had a great episode so far, and I think we could have some good episodes in the future too.
I agree.
That would be the other thing, is not just live episodes, but having you two guys on at the same time to have conversations. Well, does anybody have anything else that they want to say before we get ready to close this episode out?
I'll just thank you to all our viewers for including us in your life and taking the time out to listen.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. And please, I'll say like, comment, share. It helps with the algorithms. It's not for our own personal gratification. As Pastor Gavin explained, it's not for our own egos. It's the algorithms. The more you like, the more you comment, the more you share, the more the Boiling Point podcast will be seen in other people's feeds. So we need you to like, comment, and share. My poster business, facebook.com/JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z at the end of it. Our sister show, Mayhem Media, that they're on Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube also. Just search Mayhem Media and you can find our sister show. That's for all entertainment topics, sports, movies, TV. We got episodes coming out here in the next couple of weeks about that show. We're going to be doing a Super Bowl episode. Since this episode wasn't our first live episode, Mizpah and I discussed that the first live episode might be for our sister show, and it might be we might be doing a live episode for the Super Bowl before or after the Super Bowl. So look for that. We have special series coming out. Oh, Mizpah's got a new series coming out that I've been helping and develop. It'll start next month. We'll be releasing an episode every other week on Friday nights, I believe we talked about. And it's going to be Mizpah's Becoming a Father series. It's going to be about his journey since his baby girl has been born and how he's been tackling the different things associated with fatherhood, the different challenges and the rewards that come with fatherhood. We're going to be following Mizpah on his journey, and I think that's going to be a great series too. I'm excited to start releasing that series. I think it's going to be I think that's going to be a popular series. I really do.
And you said it right. It's definitely a journey, and
yeah,
I look forward to taking people along with me and having them experience what I'm experiencing.
Yeah, it is. I think it's going to be a great series. We got other series coming out, so make sure you look for those on Mayhem Media, following different TV shows, the after show, just like we did with House of the Dragon. Pastor Gavin's channel, make sure you check him out on YouTube. Just search Gavin Whitcomb. You can find his channel, and also on Facebook, facebook.com/mooresmountain.church. And of course, the Boiling Point podcast. I am wearing the American Cross design t-shirt this evening for the podcast. Make sure you check out our storefronts, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point podcast. We have all kinds of new stuff up, new designs. Make sure you check it out. Pick yourself up some apparel. And rep the brand. Also, my other storefront, bonfire.com/store/JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z at the end of it. That's where the Mayhem Media products will be as soon as I have the time to put them up. Am I forgetting? Oh, you can follow me on Twitter, JD at Mayhem Prez, that's with an S at the end of it. Instagram, JDE Poster Designs. That's with a Z at the end of it. Am I missing anything? Did I get everything? I think that's everything.
I think that's everything.
So make sure Marcus Frederiksen is going to play us out. Make sure you check out his music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Share out your favorite song, and that's likely where our next poll is going to come into play. We did our favorite episodes, but I'm going to do another poll here in the next couple of weeks and poll people, see if I can get more people to listen to Marcus's music and then vote on their favorite song. When you share out his music, if you share out his music, use the hashtag normalize the good or the humankind. Hashtag the humankind, not to be confused with humankind. The humankind. That's a very important distinction. So make sure you check out everything that I just said. Hit the likes, hit the subscribe buttons, and share it out to help with the circulation. Executive producer Mizpah, senior faith correspondent and producer Pastor Gavin Whitcomb, and I am the creator and host of the Boiling Point podcast, JD. This has been episode 100. That's the end.
Good night.
I'm not around, have you found? I'm always on you.